One other term that is incredibly important when we study social inequalities is privilege. Again, that's been a buzzword as of late at times in our society. So here's a definition of privilege. I'm going to warn you, the second part of this definition is the really, really crucial part. So as you can see, it's referring to all the access that we have, the opportunities, the various forms of power in our society. But let's look at that second part. Those with privilege do not necessarily know that they have it, but they're an advantage over others. The key part of privilege, in my estimation, the reason why it can be a struggle to realize is because it's not our problem. It's not our problem. If you have various identities that you are privileged in, you don't have to worry about the stressors. You don't have to worry about the prejudicial or discriminatory or oppressive treatment. It's not your problem. So over on the left-hand side, you can see that image. That is actually a flyer that was hung up around, I believe it was the University of San Francisco, that a student group on campus tried to educate their fellow students about privilege. And so they hung up various flyers, different places. So if you fit into the gender binary, that you are either male-bodied and masculine or female-bodied and feminine, you have cisgender privilege. You don't have to worry about utilizing bathrooms in public places. We have men's rooms and women's rooms, right? That is not necessarily the case for somebody who doesn't fit into the gender binary. And so if you have never given bathrooms, if you have never been out in public worried about, oh my goodness, where am I going to go to the bathroom? Is there a bathroom that I'm going to be safe or comfortable in? You have cisgender privilege. Again, like I mentioned, the University of San Francisco, right? So San Francisco, huge hills. So on a hill on campus, they put at the top of the hill a whole bunch of flyers that if you were able to walk up this hill and not be able, not have to worry about it, you have able-bodied privilege. If you utilized a wheelchair or some other kind of mobility device, hills can present a real challenge. If you get days off of school for your religious holidays, things like Christmas, you have Christianity privilege. Now, here's the thing, we bristle at privilege. We all do. Because it's not necessarily like the fact that it's inherently unfair. We didn't pick it. We didn't choose it. We didn't contribute to it. We all work hard, right? We all have opportunities. And so thinking about kind of the stickiness, the messiness, the just, I don't know, uncomfortableness that we all have around privileged identities. It is very easy. It is very easy to get um, defensive if somebody kind of mentions privilege. No, 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 that's no, don't. My dad likes to do this. My dad, if I ever talk to him about privilege that he might have in his identity as a male or in his identity as somebody who is middle class or anything else, no, 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 he constantly then he's telling me about how his family grew up with financial struggles, and that's absolutely true. That's the thing. We can have many identities that we do deal with inequalities, absolutely. But we also can then have other identities where we do benefit from that identity, whether it's our gender, whether it's our race, whether it's our socioeconomic status. This week, we're going to do an activity that's even going to bring in more identities that you might not even have thought of as a privilege, which again is inherent in the definition that when you have it, you don't necessarily realize you have it. You've maybe seen, there was viral videos for a little while about teachers doing privilege walks where everybody answers questions and you like step forward or backwards based upon if you have that resource or not. And so the activity that we're doing this week is in that similar vein because the goal of it is to identify and bring it to our attention where we are fortunate, where we have access to resources that are not necessarily something that everybody always has. The other resource this week is called the Privilege Manifesto. And when we realize we have privileged identities, ultimately, and again, this is another moment where we get a little bit hesitant and grumpy in society, but if we have privilege in an identity, we really could look at it as a way that we could utilize that to try to make sure everybody gets more equal treatment in society. As we've gone through social inequalities, terms like structure and agency, and terms like privilege this week, I will say again, I really, really, really hope that you are utilizing this opportunity to look at yourself, to look at where you are in society, and to look at the opportunities, the choices you have, and to see society in new ways, because that ultimately is our opportunity to create a more fair world.